Okay, Rabbi Isai, a shayla I've been getting a lot of lately, security cameras, ring doorbells. What's the story? Could I put one up on Shabbos? My neighbor, my friend has one. Could I walk by? What's the story? What's the deal? Let's get started. Okay, is there any issue going in front of a video camera on Shabbos? What's the problem? It doesn't feel right. Doesn't feel right isn't good enough for here. We're not going to say it's usher unless you have a reason to say it's usher. So what's the problem? Is there anything wrong with walking in front of a video camera on Shabbos? So it's like the Rambam, making a roshim is ksiva. So let's understand. Rabbi Yashiv and other poskim as well say that to walk in front of a video camera, let's just start off the old basic type of video camera. You know, you had a store, there was a video camera, a screen. Let's just start that off simple. Walking in front of it, it's ksiva. You're making a roshim on the screen. The image of your body is appearing on the screen. I don't care whether you write with a pencil, whether you write with a pen, whether you write with a stamp, or whether you write with walking in front of a video camera. Either way, you make an image on the screen. And you know what? When you walk off the screen, you were over meichik because you took yourself away. So it's ksiva and then it's meichik when you walk away. That is the shita of Rav Yashiv and friends. Comes along Rav Moshe Feinstein and Rosh Zalman Auerbach, and they say, wait a second. This image is just comes and goes. It's totally not lasting. It's just coming and going. It's in a shel kayama, and therefore it's not ksiva, it's mutter. Now, wait a second. This is going to be hard to understand this from Moshe Zalman, because surely we all know that a ksiva she'ina shel kayama is still asur mid'Rabbanan. I don't care if the ksiva is not going to last for a long time. It's still, if it lasts for a long time, it's asur mid'Oraisa. If you want to go with your finger and write a message on the foggy window, it's asur mid'Rabbanan. No, it's not going to last so long. I don't care if it's not going to last so long. It's still asur mid'Rabbanan. Okay, what's pshat? This chapter is very interesting. It must be, seemingly, where Moshe and Rosh Zalman hold that it's so temporary when you walk by that video camera. It's so temporary that it doesn't even have a din ksiva. Well, Yashiv will counter. Wait a second. If I go in front of that video camera and I stand still for 2 weeks, will my image last there for 2 weeks? Yeah, it will. So if my image will last there for 2 weeks, not only is it a ksiva she'ina shel kayama, it's even a ksiva shel kayama, and you're also ksiva mid'Oraisa. Now, Rav Yashiv seemingly is for sure the pashtus, because let's say I was going to write somewhere, and right after I was going to write it, somebody else is going to come and erase it. Or I was going to erase it myself. Is anybody going to say that it's not ksiva? Surely it's ksiva, just because I'm going to erase it. That doesn't change the fact that it's ksiva. Perhaps maybe one way that we could help defend the shita of Rosh Zalman and Rav Moshe is understanding the technology a little bit behind the video camera. Apparently, behind the screen, Apparently, the way that it works is the image on the screen doesn't just stay there forever. The image on the screen constantly disappears and reappears. Apparently, like 40 or 50 times a second, the image disappears and reappears. And therefore, each individual appearance, each roshim, each image is going to only last for like a 50th of a second. So if it's only going to last for a 50th of a second, I could totally hear it. Moshe and Rosh Zalman. That's no sheikhs. That's the initial kayama. It doesn't even last for long enough for your eye to pick it up. However, the counter of Rav Yashiv would be that just because I can't see it, just because if my eye can't pick up the change of when it disappears, in halacha it has no significance. If the eye doesn't see it disappearing and the eye can't pick it up, so that's considered as if it's always there. And once again, there's a machlekes, there's big shoulders to rely on, but I think Rav Yashiv being machmir is the pashtus. One interesting point, I don't know of any halachical ramification of this point, but apparently the technology of a Kindle is different. Apparently, by a Kindle, the image of the page that you're reading does not go away and reappear and go away and reappear, and it just stays there. Apparently that's what makes it easier in the eyes to read a Kindle, because the image is constant. It's not disappearing and reappearing, and that would be the chiluk of a Kindle. Once again, I don't see from a practical standpoint where this really makes much of a difference, but from a lumdish standpoint, it's definitely interesting. Okay, fast forward a couple of years, and cameras started recording. Now that these cameras started recording, the argument of Reb Moshe and Rosh Zalman is harder to make. Because you can't, it's not as simple to say, this is so temporary, it's not even ksiva, it just goes and it's gone in 1 second, never to be seen again. Hold on a second. It's not gone forever. It might be gone off the screen for now, but it's being recorded. It's being remembered. That ksiva is kayama in a way, because it's lasting, it's being imprinted onto the computer chip, onto the memory, onto wherever we're keeping it. So it's not so simple to say that that image is gone. That image is here to stay. It's here to stay for good in the memory of the phone, in the memory of the computer, in the memory of the video camera, whatever it is on the chip. It's there to stay. So it's harder to say that that is completely sheina shel kayama. Now, walking in front of a video camera, there's another potential issue. When you go in front of the video camera, you're raising the electric current. Maybe it's only a little bit, but you're slightly raising the electrical current. The more movement that's going on in front of the video camera, the more electric current that the video camera is using. Now, is there an issue about using more electrical current? So this is actually not so clear how we're going to pin you down. What's the problem that you're increasing the electrical current? And I think it might depend on why you hold electricity as asur on Shabbos. I'm not positive on this technical metzias. I'll probably get a WhatsApp from Nuss and Katz afterwards saying that I got it all wrong. It's okay. I'm willing to accept. But Lafi, the way that I understand, in the shita of the Chazon Ish, that the isser of electricity is closing a new circuit. So when you go and you raise the current on the electricity, you're not closing any new circuits. And the fear of Chazon Ish, you can't get you on the electricity use by raising the current. But I believe Lafi the Shlomo Zalman Mahalach that it's noilad. So you're just like increasing something new, so to speak. So perhaps when you raise the current, you're increasing more new electric current thingamajiggies. I believe that's the technical term. And and that would be a problem. But once again, I don't really claim to fully understand the full technical behind electricity. Fine. Weiter. Now, I forgot to mention, there would be an argument that, what are you talking about, ksiva, that it's recorded in the computer? I don't care if it's recorded on a computer chip. What's recorded in the computer chip can't be picked up by the eye of a person. We know in general, that which can't be picked up by the human eye, in halacha doesn't have relevance. If there's a microscopic bug, I don't care about it. If there's a microscopic dot on my esrog, I don't care about it. It doesn't make a difference. So if the eye doesn't pick it up, who cares? So therefore, one could argue there's no ksiva. Oh, it's in the computer chip. Show me the computer chip. I don't see the video. It's not there. However, one could counter that argument and say, since the eye can pick up what happened to the chip with the use of a computer or with the use of a phone, therefore, it is chashiv in halacha. Now, I know you're thinking, I could also pick up the dot with a microscope. I know. But when you're not meant to stare at esrogim and stare at bugs with microscopes. However, the way to play this chip is with a computer and with a phone. There is room to argue both ways. However, the mace of the poskim seem to be machmer. Fine. Right now we were discussing until now when somebody walks in front of the video camera on purpose. However, most of the time, practical, technical, metzias, most of the time people that are walking in front of a video camera, they don't have the intention to be on the screen. and their intention is, and one more, I forgot another point. What if there's no screen? So what if, a lot of times nowadays it's being recorded without a screen. Would that still be an Isser of Ksiva? So once again, there's potential raising electric current. That's debatable. It seems to be the poskim are still concerned, since it's written into the chip, it's still considered ksiva. I know there is what to debate on this matter, but the poskim seemingly are machmir for this. Now, usually when somebody walks in front of the camera, it's a davar she'enim miskaven. It's not their intention. They're not walking by the street because I want to be in the camera. That's not what they're after. That's not their goal. Now, is there an Isser of doing it? Is there a problem doing Isser Shabbos when it's a davar she'enim miskaven? Now, let me just take a minute to clarify. Davar she'enim miskaven doesn't mean that you don't know that you're being recorded. Not knowing that you're being recorded is a different category. It's something called misasik. We're not talking about that now. Maybe we'll get there later. But I want to know about a davar she'enim miskaven. I know there's a video camera there, but I'm not walking by to go in the video camera. That's not my kavanah. I'm washing my hands on top of the grass. Why am I washing my hands on top of the grass? Because I want my hands washed, not because I want the grass watered. That's what we call a davar she'enim miskaven. Is a davar she'enim miskaven mutter or asur? I'm not watering the grass. I'm washing my hands. Is that allowed or that not allowed? So it's actually a machlokes tanaim. Rabbi Yehuda says davar she'enim miskaven is asur. Zakt Reb Shimon, Barichei Lag B'Omer coming up. Zakt Reb Shimon, a davar she'enim miskaven is mutter. How do we paskin? Do we paskin like Rabbi Yehuda that a davar she'enim miskaven is asur? Or do we pass it like Reb Shimon, that a davar she'enim miskaven is mutter? So l'maisa we pass it like Reb Shimon, that a davar she'enim miskaven is mutter. Okay, so this is pretty easy. Shiur over, right? Just don't have kavanah to go in front of the video camera. Davar she'enim miskaven is mutter. Not so fast. Hold your horses. Because as we see many times over the Gemara, there's a caveat. If it's a psik reisha, if it's a guarantee that the Issa will occur, even if it's not my kavanah, it's still usher. So let's say I want my kids, to do something very normal. So I want them to play ball, but I don't have a ball. So I cut off a chicken's head so they can have a chicken head to play ball with. Very normal thing. Now, I didn't have kavanah that the chicken will die. I just wanted to cut off its head. I wanted to psik reisha v'lo yamas. I wanted to cut off the chicken's head and the chicken won't die. Do I have the Isser of cutting off the chicken's head on Shabbos? Or do we say psik reisha v'lo yamas? You can't cut off the chicken's head and not expect it to die. So the Gemara says psik reisha v'lo yamas. You can't cut off the chicken's head and expect that it won't die. And therefore, even though your kavanah is not to kill the chicken, your kavanah was to get a nice geschmack ball for your kids, nevertheless, that is usher, even though it's a davar she'enim miskaven. So we see that a davar she'enim miskaven, if it's a psik reisha, it could still be usher. Now let's break psik reisha up into two categories. One category is what we call psik reisha denichale. That means something that you did not have intention. You're washing your hands. You don't have intention that it's going to water the grass, but it's guaranteed. You're washing your hands on top of the grass. It's guaranteed it's going to water the grass. And I like it. I want my grass to be watered. But that's still not my kavanah. I'm still not after having the grass grow. That's psik reisha denichale. What if I'm at some random forest somewhere? I could care less if the grass is watered. What do I care? It makes no difference. I'll never be back here again. Not helping any of my friends. No sheikhs. That is what we call a psik reisha deloi nichale. That is the psik reisha that I'm not happy about the benefit. Now let's be clear. Actually, it's not only psik reisha denichale. It's not only if you are happy about the benefit. It's if it's beneficial for you. What's the difference? Let's say, I don't want to water the grass. It's Shabbos. I don't want to water the grass on Shabbos. But it does help me. that would still be considered psik reisha denichale. Rosh Zalman speaks about a case where by opening the fridge, it's going to turn on the light. And he says that even if the guy doesn't want the light turned on, because it's Shabbos, this light that I left on Shabbos is such a pain in the neck. I wish this light would just disappear. I don't want it to turn on. It's causing me all the problems. Zakt Rosh Zalman, since it intrinsically is beneficial for you, even though you don't like it, that's considered psik reisha denichale. Now, what's the halachas? So, psik reisha denichale, we say is the problem. Even this davar shein miskaven, I'm not trying to do the isser, but it's guaranteed that I'm going to do the isser, and it's useful for me. That is going to be a problem. There is a das yachid, there's a shita, the trumas hadeshin, that even a psik reisha denichale on a darabanan would be allowed. That's something that a person could keep in his back pocket as a sniff latter, but we're not going to rely on that trumas hadeshin straight up, because the Maisi is a das yachid, and we're going to say a psik reisha denicha, psik reisha that's useful for you is going to be a problem, even on a derabanan. According to the Aruch, what about a psik reisha deloy nichale? So according to the Aruch, a psik reisha deloy nichale, that means something's for sure going to happen, and it's not helpful for me. It's mutter, whether it's the Rabbanan or the Reisa. Even for the Reisa, is they're watering the grass on Shabbos, psik reisha, then deloy nichale is allowed. Shitas Tosfos is a psik reisha deloy nichale is only allowed on a derabanan. And the Maisa in general, we're only going to be soymech on psik reisha deloy nichale, something that you didn't have kavanah to do, and was guaranteed was going to happen. We're only, and it's not good for you. It's not specifically good for you. We're only going to allow that on a derabanan, like Tosfos. But once again, if there's another sniff laheter, we might pull that arach out of our back pocket. Now, there's another possible heter. You know what, actually, I'm going to discuss until now. Before I go to the other heter, I'm going to bring it back in a second. I want to start discussing the big shayla of 20 years ago. This was big hak in Yerushalayim. Zakt Rebbe Yosef Saktin. You know, the old city's covered. 140 cameras back then. Who knows how many now? Probably 1,000. But back then, 20 years ago, 140 video cameras in the old city. Every inch of the old city is covered in video cameras for security reasons. Zakt Rebbe Yosef, also to go to the old city on Shabbos. Oh my gosh. Whoa. Wild. Hak. Crazy. Rebbe Yosef said it's also to go to the old city on Shabbos. Why? If you're going to go in front of the video cameras, Shitas Rebbe Yosef, that's ksiva. That's ksiva dereisa. And you know what? Rebbe Yosef says that's nichale. What do you mean? I don't care whether I'm in the video camera. Why are you calling that nichale? You do care. You want the security. You want the security. You know, it's there for a reason to protect you. So you want the video cameras. So you can't say loy nichale that the video cameras are there. It's for your benefit. However, those that opposed Rebbe Yosef said, wait a second. Ravadia for one and many others. Don't tell me that that's nichale. I wanted to catch the Arabs. I don't care if I'm in the video camera. I just want the Arabs to be in the video camera. Get the bad guys in the video camera, not me. However, those defending Rav Yashuv said, that's not true. You know, if you have a bunch of Arabs who are looking all tough and approaching an empty area in the old city, the police aren't running. But if you, the Jew, are sitting there in that open area and there's a bunch of Arabs who are looking like tough guys approaching, then the police are going to run. So don't tell me you only want the Arabs, you want yourself. Furthermore, you'll see the Arab punching in the ear. Punching in the ear, the police are running. You see the Jew in the camera being punched, then the Arabs are running, then the police are running. So don't tell me it's not nicha, it is nicha. Once again, you could say in general it's loy nicha, but b'makom pekuach nefesh there's a heter, and you could see this argument could be debated back and forth. Let's talk about another heter that's brought up. There's a Gemara that says that if a guy closed the house, the door, there was a deer inside a guy's house, and a guy closed the door to his house, he is not over. He is not over the isser of trapping that deer on Shabbos. He's not over when he closed the door to his house. What is pshat in that Gemara? Some want to say it's talking about misasik, which doesn't have any big ramifications to what we're discussing right now. Zak the Rajba, the famous Rajba. The Rajba says, you know why you're not over? Because that wasn't what you were doing. You're allowed to close the door even lechatchila. Even if you know the deer's in there, you're allowed to close it. Now why? Why would you be allowed to close it? Surely it's a psik reisha. By closing the door, you're trapping the deer. Psik reisha, and it's a psik reisha to nichale. You know what it costs for some venison meat? Deer is expensive meat to catch. It's a lot of money. So it's a psik reisha to nichale. If the psik reisha to nichale, how can we let you do that? How could the Rajba say, look at the you close the door? What's pshat in the Rajba? So there's two explanations to the Rajba. One explanation is the pshat of Isser Zalman Meltzer and Aram Shimon Shkop. They say, apparently, when it comes to the specific malacha of tzad, if you have a dual kavana, sorry, I should say that wrong. When it comes to the malacha of tzad, if you did one action, and your main kavana of that action was to just close the door, open the door, close the door, because you wanted the door in your house closed, you're not over tzad. Apparently, to be over trapping, to be over this or trapping, you need to have specific kavana. I'm closing the door to trap. And if you don't have a specific kavana that you're closing the door to trap, special din by tzad, special din by trapping, you're not over there, sir. And within the world of Rav Zalman Meltzer and Rav Shimon Shkop, the way that they explain the Rajba, that thing cannot be transferred to anywhere else. So that's not going to help us at all for the video camera. That's specific to trapping. It will let you close the window or open the window and catch that fly in between the window and the screen, if that wasn't your intention. So yeah, for Shimon Shkop and Rav Zalman Meltzer, it will work for that case. But for every other case that I could think of, it will not work. Zaktor Vosner and multiple other poskim, they explain the heter of the Rajba is totally different. The heter of the Rajba is, as long as you're doing an ordinary act, part of your normal day-to-day living, then that is not going to be over the Isser. There is no yachas. There is no connection between your act of closing the door and trapping the deer. I wasn't trapping a deer, I was closing a door. One doesn't have anything to do with the other. Yes, technically it's true that the deer couldn't get out. But that's b'chlal not what my action was. There was no yachas. When I go and wash my hands on top of the grass, it's true that my kavanah is washing my hands. But my action is the direct action of watering the grass. Over here, my action was an action of trapping b'chlal. My action was closing the door of my house because I'm normal. And I closed the door of my house. And that's how Rav Vosner and others explain the Rajma. And this fits in with the Rambam. There's a Rambam that says, when you're walking on dirt, let's say there's some spit on the dirt, you don't have to worry that you're mishava gumas. You don't have to worry that you're straightening out the ground. Just walk as normal, lefi tumay, and you're good. And let's say there's a infestation, there's tons of ants everywhere. So at the Rambam, you can just walk, don't look. If you just walk lefituma, you walk normal, you're going to do an action of killing the ant. Even if it's a psik reisha that the ant's going to die, it's b'chal not your action. There's no yakas between your action of walking and the ant's dying, and memela it is allowed. So Zakter Rav Vosner, based on the Rajba and based on the Rambam, I can walk in the old city even if it's nichalei. Even if it's beneficial for me to have the security. Because when I'm walking, I'm not doing an action of appearing on the video camera. I'm doing an action of walking like a normal person, having a normal daily activity of walking. And Memela, the Isser of Ksiva has no sheikhs to me. There's no yachas, no connection between my action and the potential Ksiva that will occur, or the use of electricity that will occur. And Memela, it is allowed. Rav Avadia also goes with Rav Vosner's heter. He doesn't call it the Rashba, he calls it the Rambam, but he goes with it as well. And he also throws it on top of it. He understands the ksiva to be the Rabbanon. And Dr. Rebbe it's a psik reish the loy nichlei. He was going with the loy nichlei side. So it's a psik reish the loy nichlei on the Rabbanon. And it's the second reason that Ravadya says it is mutter. Fine. Let's go further. By the way, another heter of Rav Vosner, which fits perfectly in this, Rav Vosner says you're allowed to wear, those watches that by the actual movement, it winds itself. And, it doesn't have a battery. It gets wound. But every time you move your hand, it gets wound a little bit. When you're walking and doing it's true, every time you move your arm, you're winding the watch. To show that it's a psikration, show that you shouldn't be allowed to wear such a watch on Shabbos. So Dr. Vosner, when I'm walking through the street, I'm not winding a watch. That's not what I'm doing. And Mamela, it is allowed. Fine. What about sensors? Motion sensors, lights. So Rav Vosner as well will say when I'm walking down the street and I have no intention of turning on that motion sensor light, so it's not a problem. I'm walking down the street. I'm not busy turning on lights. It's not what I'm doing. Now this heter of Rav Vosner, many argue. Because many argue and they say, wait a second. This is the derech to turn on the light. What's the light switch for the outdoor motion sensor operated lights? The light switch is walking by the light. That's how you turn it on. If that's how you turn it on, you can't claim that you didn't do it. That's the action that you do it. That's the way that you do it. That's the derech, the normal way to do it. And many argue on Vosner's allowance to walk and turn on those lights. Now, what if I don't know if there's a motion sensor that will turn on the lights? So at first thought, that would be no problem. Listen, if you don't know if there's a motion sensor, by definition, it's not a psik reisha. Because it can't be guaranteed if you don't know about it. However, it's not so clear, because if you think about it, it's really a suffix psik reisha. It's not a non-psik reisha, it's a suffix psik reisha. Listen to my lumdus for a second. You have a suffix if the motion sensor is there. But if the motion sensor is there, it's vada going to go off. It's not like you're doing floss in your teeth and it's a suffix whether you're going to bleed. Over here, if there is a motion sensor, it's for sure going to go off. It's just a suffix if there is a motion sensor. What's the halacha by suffix psik reisha? So by suffix psik reisha, it's a famous machlokes, I believe, between the Taz and Rav Kiva Eger. I don't remember who says what. There's what to rely on, but it's not so pashut. Now let's get tachlis. Can I walk in front of my neighbor's ring doorbell? Those those doorbells, ring doorbells, and there's a bunch of other companies that they video. Could I walk in front of that camera? So once again, if there's a screen going, so it's really not pashut, right? Oh no, but it's a psik reish loy nichlei on the Rabbanon. I'm going to be saying it's the Rabbanon. Okay, beseder. And it's psik reish loy nichlei. Is it always loy nichlei? Don't be so quick to say loy nichlei. I agree. It's often going to be loy nichlei. Sometimes it won't be. Let's say he's a not from guy and he might be looking at the camera and I want him to answer the door. Then it's nichlei. I want to tell you something that happened. And this is one of the reasons I gave the share. This is one of the shaylas. I had my family went to go visit somebody on Shabbos, and at Matzah Shabbos, I called them up and I said, "Okay, are they getting back? Is everything okay or whatever?" What are you talking about? They didn't come they never came. Like they never came, really? And the person said, "Let me just check my video camera," and they checked their video camera, the Ring, whatever, and I said, "Oh look, I see YY, my son." I see him on the camera. So now they saw on the camera that was it good for YY? Yeah, because now I knew. They knocked on the door, nobody answered, they must have went somewhere else. So that was good. Now I don't think YY had any kavanah, I don't think he knew about the doorbell, the video camera. But think about it, if you're going to visit somebody and they'll see that you came to drop by, so it could be beneficial. So it's not so simple to say it's loy nicha. It might be nicha. Okay, can somebody put one of these doorbells up? So, once again, usually for themselves to be in the camera is usually not nicha, but l'maisa they're setting, and there's a tzad that it's deraisa. there's a tzad that they're going to use more electric current. If they themselves put it up, is it so simple to say it's leinicha? I agree, it's probably leinicha, but not so simple. Maybe they want to see if something happens in front of their house. They want to get caught in the argument between them and the neighbor or something. It's not so simple. I would say if there's no big tzarech, don't do it. But if there's a tzarech, let's say you have that neighbor that goes and tries to break into your house and screams at your wife and etc., and there's a restraining order against them and etc., and there's a big tzarech, then there may be good reason to put it up there. And once again, for everybody else, it's not nicha, except the case of somebody coming to visit you. For everybody else, it's loy nicha, so okay, not too bad. And for that guy that you really want to catch, for him it's loy nicha as well. So, and you turned it on before, you set it up before Shabbos. So the fact that he's going to go on and on Shabbos, is it lifnei iver? I'm not sure. Doesn't sound like it, because for him it's not really Isser either, because for him it's leinicha, and therefore, if it's needed, there's what to be saimich on. If it's not needed, it should be avoided. In general, it should be avoided. Okay. There's somebody named Rab Nachum Rabinovich. He was the Rosh Yeshiva of the Hesder Yeshiva in Mali Adumim. He was one of the poskim of the Dati Lumi world. I know he also, from a political and a shkafal standpoint, he had lots of interesting opinions, but we're going to leave that aside. Now, he was a Talmud Chacham, so let's hear what he has to say. He says something amazing. Let's say I ask you a question. What would Rav Vosner say about walking into a room, setting up the room, and then when I walk in, the air conditioning is going to go on? Nowadays they have all sorts of motion sensors. So you could set up the room, that motion sensor, you walk in, the lights turn on, the air conditioning turns on, etc. Would that be allowed? So Rav Vosner over there would say no. That would not be allowed. When I'm walking in the old city, I'm walking. I'm not acting on a video camera. But over here, when the whole derech of turning on the motion sensor, the whole derech of turning on the air conditioning is walking in, that's what you do, Rav Vosner wouldn't allow. Zakt Rabinovich, it's allowed. Since I didn't touch anything, right? And it just acts on its own, it's okay. Even if you're getting no, it's okay. Because the Maisa, remember the Rambam gave the heter lefi tumai? You're allowed to step on the bug if you're just walking. So over here I just walked in. And I'll tell you furthermore, Dr. Rabinovich, when it comes to stepping on the bug, everybody can see that you stepped on the bug. It's very clear, the connection. When you walk in and the air conditioning turns on, it's not nearly as clear as stepping on the bug. So kal v'chomer, it should be allowed. Now, and he says further, I don't care by you walking in, it's the trigger. It's going to be allowed. He even says you can walk through those, like you go to a hospital, wherever it is, the doors open by themselves, the motion detector doors. He says you can walk in. Why? He says, originally, they asered electric. Why? It wasn't so pashut to aser electricity. Everybody basically was trying to figure out their own reason why they had to aser electricity. The Meister wasn't Shabbos, they had to aser. Shabbos will be over. Electricity is very malachadik. So since electricity is very malachadik, they had to aser. And some sort of like Ovda Dechol that we had to aser. Over here, Mayridik. This is the greatest shvisa that could be. You set it all up on Erev Shabbos. You go into the room. You don't do anything. The air conditioning turns on. The lights go how you want it. What kishmaka shvisa Shabbos. Oinik Shabbos. This is the epitome of a great Shabbos situation. You walk in. You have all the benefits. It's all set up before Shabbos. It's Mayridik. It's great. It's amazing. Now, something doesn't sound right about the heterim over here from Rab Nachum Rabinovich. But as we know, everybody in this share knows, not feeling good, not feeling right is not good enough. If you can't prove him wrong, he's right until proven wrong. What's wrong with his argument? So I'll tell you, I think there's a couple of holes in his argument. Number one is, you might claim that you won't have Shabbos anymore by letting everything to be done by electricity. However, that claim against him, I think he could defend very well. No, if I'm not doing anything, that is Shabbos. When it came to the original electricity shaylas, that was really a problem. You'll start doing all these, you light a fire with electricity, so to speak. Well, maybe the fire would be a problem otherwise. But you're going to do all these things with electricity. But when it comes to this is chilling, relaxing on Shabbos, sitting by your stender and having the air conditioning turned on when you walk into the Beis Medrash. Gewaltig. So that's not really such a taina against him. The second argument, which I think is the main argument against him, is nowadays that is the pu'ula, that is the action of how you turn on a motion detecting air conditioner. And by the way, we have this in hotels often is when it comes up. A motion detecting air conditioner, motion detecting lights, that is the light switch. That's how you turn it on. It wasn't that, I happened to be walking and it turned on. This is the light switch. Once this is the light switch, you did it. And furthermore, taina against Rebbe Rabinovich number 3, but the second one of real substance, is his whole claim was based on the understanding of all electricity is just of the dechol. It's mikubal, it's accepted in the paiskim that electricity is aser either because it's iser dereis because of boina, or it's iser derabanan of noiled. But we treat it as malach, we don't just treat it as of the dechol. And therefore the whole premise of the chiluk, l'chayra, is not true. I don't discount the fact that it's a geschmack of art, but I definitely don't think there's what to rely on. I don't even think we're going to use it as a sniff leheter, but it's geschmack to learn. Okay. Rav Shlomo Zalman wants to know, can I ask someone, let's just actually speak one thing further. Often when you're walking through the street, there's going to be video cameras on you that you have no idea about it. That is what we call misasik. Misasik is, I have no idea that the malach is going on. If you have no idea that the malach is going on, there's a machlokes whether you're over in generally serve. But when it comes to Shabbos, everybody says you're not over on misasik because you need a malachas machshavas. And if you don't know anything about the malacha, it's not a malachas machshavas, and misasik, you're not osir. You're not over. So let me ask you an interesting question. Can I ask someone to open the fridge for me when they don't know that the light is on? I'm just asking them to open the fridge. And when they open the fridge, there's a light? Oh, don't worry, you're okay. It was misasik. Would that be allowed? So Rav Shlomo Zalman says that you wouldn't be able to do that because maybe when you open a fridge, that really is an act that has two outcomes. When you open a fridge, one outcome is the fridge is open so you get stuff out. The other outcome is that now the light turns on. So therefore it might not be considered misasik. Now I want to point out that that's just Shittas Rav Shlomo Zalman, and it's l'shitase. When we once discussed Amir La'akam, we said that psik ratio is allowed by Amir La'akam, but the actual mice is not allowed. And Rav Shlomo Zalman didn't let you to ask the guy to open the fridge when it turned on the light. He said it's not psik ratio. That's the actual action. Whereas Rav Elyashiv and Rav Moshe and all the other poskim allowed you to tell the guy to open the fridge because that was considered a psik ratio, but it was considered a different action, and therefore I think most poskim would allow you to ask somebody to open the fridge. Definitely, there are better things to do, but l'chayra it would be allowed. One more thing that I skipped earlier is when the, let's say, ring doorbell is something that's going to turn on and start recording when you walk by. So based on the uses of electricity, that is a little bit of a bigger issue, because once again, even if you want to say it's a einim miskaven, which is usually going to be the case, you don't have kavanah to turn it on, and even if you're going to say delay nichale, which in many cases it won't be nichale, but when it's something that's going to turn on and use electricity, we're going to get involved in machlokes chazanish, that electricity is deraisa, versus Rosh Shlomo Zalman and friends, that it's derabanan. Now, if you're going to hold that electricity is deraisa, so it's psik ratio delay nichale and deraisa. As we said earlier, it's true that the Aruch allows psik ratio lo nichle and the Reisa, but Tosfos says we only allow psik ratio lo nichle and the Rabbanan. So therefore, Once again, if we need to find the heter, there's what to find. First of all, the Aruch says it's allowed. Secondly, many places say electricity is not the race, etc. So if we need a heter, we can find it. But certainly, the chatchila, you should not have the type of thing that just turns on when anybody walks by. It's better not to have that on Shabbos. Once again, big tzarech, different story. Thank you for listening, and have a great week.